the silence beyond the fence. No one drives out to Groom Lake by accident. The desert doesn't forgive mistakes. Miles of jagged rock, choking dust, and heat waves shimmering above an endless horizon. It's the kind of landscape that feels older than time. And somewhere beyond it all, hidden behind fences topped with sensors and signs that promise instant death, lies the most whispered about place in America, Area 51. Most people think they know the story: aliens, crash saucers, reverse-engineered technology. But what happened to Ethan Rhodes had nothing to do with what people imagine, and everything to do with what they can't. Ethan wasn't supposed to be anywhere near the base that night. It started as a stupid dare in a Vegas bar over cheap beer and poker losses. His friend Mike, half drunk and desperate to look brave in front of two tourists, leaned across the table and said, "Bet you can't get closer to Area 51 than anyone ever has," and lived to tell about it. Ethan laughed it off until Mike slapped a $5,000 cash bet on the table. $5,000 was more than Ethan had seen in a month. His rent was overdue. And in the moment, with the bar buzzing and everyone watching, he said the word that would ruin his life. Deal. The approach. By 1:30 a.m., Ethan's beat-up Ford Ranger was crawling along a dirt road so dry that each tire crunch sounded like breaking bone. There was no moon, only a black sky studded with cold stars. The GPS showed nothing but empty desert. But he knew where he was headed: Groom Lake Road. The plan was simple: drive until the warning signs, take a photo for proof, and leave. He even rehearsed the excuse for when the guards came. "I got lost, didn't see the signs." At 1:42 a.m., his headlights swept over the first marker, a faded metal sign riddled with bullet holes. Warning: U.S. Air Force installation. Use of deadly force authorized. Ethan felt the first sting of unease. But $5,000 was $5,000. The lights. He killed his headlights and stepped out into the cold. The desert was silent except for the wind. Somewhere in the distance, a faint, low hum rose and fell like breathing. Then light. Not headlights, not a spotlight, but a pale blue glow, faint at first, coming from beyond the ridge. It pulsed slowly, like the rhythm of a heartbeat. Ethan raised his phone to snap a picture, but the signal bars had vanished, and the camera app froze. That's when he saw them. Two faint points of red light, high up, moving slowly. And watching him, the first warning. The sound of an engine shattered the stillness. A pair of black SUVs crested the ridge, their high beams cutting through the dust. Ethan's instinct was to run back to his truck, but he froze when a deep, mechanical voice boomed from nowhere. "Step away from the restricted area. Turn around. Leave immediately." The voice didn't come from the SUVs, came from above him. Ethan looked up and saw a shape blotting out the stars. Not a helicopter, not a drone. Something completely silent, except for the hum that made the fillings in his teeth ache. Before he could react, a piercing white beam slammed into him. He couldn't move, couldn't think. For a moment, he felt inside out, like every cell in his body was being cataloged. Then, darkness, the facility. When Ethan woke, he was lying on a metal table in a room colder than ice. The walls were smooth, without seams, as if carved from a single piece of metal. A single door hissed open, and a man walked in. No uniform, no name tag, Just a black suit, pale skin, and eyes so gray they almost looked silver. "Mr. Rhodes," the man said without looking at any notes. "You've been somewhere you shouldn't have been." Ethan's throat was dry. "Area 51? The man didn't answer. Instead, he pressed a finger to his earpiece. "Subject stable. Begin phase 2. Phase 2. The walls around Ethan shifted, literally shifted, melting into transparent panels. Beyond them was a massive hangar, but not like any hangar he'd seen before. Floating inside were shapes. Some were smooth, metallic discs. Others were jagged, almost organic, with surfaces that seemed to shimmer in and out of focus. And in the farthest corner, behind heavy containment fields, something moved. First, Ethan thought it was a shadow. Then it turned. It wasn't human. It was tall, almost 8 feet, with limbs that bent the wrong way. Its skin was dark, almost glass-like, and its eyes glowed faintly blue, just like the pulse he'd seen in the desert. The thing tilted its head as if it recognized him. "The offer." The man in the suit spoke again, his voice measured. "We can erase tonight from your memory, Mr. Rhodes. You'll go home. You'll never speak of this." Or, he let the word hang in the air like bait. "You can no more." Ethan swallowed hard. "What happens if I say yes?" The man almost smiled. "Then you'll understand why this facility exists, and why no one who sees what you've seen ever leaves unchanged." The descent. They led Ethan down a corridor so long it felt like they were walking into the earth itself. The walls became rougher, almost like natural rock. The air grew warmer, heavier. At the end of the corridor was a huge circular door, covered in symbols that didn't look man-made. "This is older than the base itself," the man said. "Older than humanity." The door slid open with a deep, resonant hum. Beyond it was a cavern the size of a stadium, lit by a soft, golden glow. In the center of the cavern was a machine. It floated, slowly turning in place, covered in markings that shifted as Ethan looked at them. His mind felt like it was slipping, as if the symbols were trying to rewrite themselves inside his thoughts. The truth. The man's voice lowered. Every story about UFOs, about aliens, it's misdirection. This isn't from another planet. It's from here, from before. Ethan's pulse pounded in his ears. Before what? The man stepped closer to the machine. Before us. Suddenly, the glowing being from the hangar appeared at the edge of the platform. It placed a hand, or something like a hand, on the machine, and the air in the cavern changed. Ethan smelled rain. He heard whispers in a language he didn't know but somehow understood. Then the being spoke directly into his mind. "We are not visitors. You are. The choice." The man in the suit turned to Ethan one last time. "Now you understand why the fence exists. It's not to keep you out. It's to keep them in." Ethan looked at the being, at the machine, at the shifting symbols that seemed to reach into him. Something deep inside him, something ancient, stirred. The man's voice was calm but final. "You leave now and you forget. Or you stay, and you become part of it." Ethan opened his mouth to speak, but the lights went out. Epilogue. When he woke again, he was in his truck, parked miles from Groom Lake Road. The clock on the dashboard read 3:17 a.m. He had no memory of driving there, no sign of the man in the suit, but in his pocket was a small, black stone etched with one of the shifting symbols from the machine. And that night, when he turned it over in his hand, he swore he could hear the hum again. Somewhere in the desert, the machine was still turning.